All right, so for this parallax effect, we're going to use a photograph. And by the way, parallax is a sort of effect where it's usually based on scroll, or if somebody is on a mobile device, maybe they use their finger to move up and down. It will affect how the background or the type or other elements behave in terms of being scroll activated or just animating in such a way that it creates this interesting effect called parallax. And so the idea is to select either a photograph or an illustration. You can even do this with type that would lend itself well to this effect, and then it becomes a matter of creating the right type of animations. So I'm going to use a actual photograph, this single photograph right here from unsplash.com. And I've downloaded already. I took it into Photoshop, and you can see right here I cut out two separate areas, just the land itself and then also the mountain portion. All right, and so I'm going to include that here in the files that you can download, these two assets, so that you can follow along. All right, so let's go back to Figma here, and we're going to create a new frame. And this is going to be based on a tablet iPad mini. So first, let's go ahead and create a rectangle which will hold everything here, or not everything, but rather just the two pictures. So there'll be a rectangle for each. We're going to change this to image. And then I have this right here. The first one's going to be the background.jpg. All right, and that's good. And then we'll just select into here, duplicate that. So now we have two copies, but we're going to change this one here to the foreground. And for this one, we're going to use fit. All right. And also we could hold Alt and get that situated in that way. So now basically it looks like an image that we can adjust, of course. Let's change the canvas background color real quickly to something darker. There we go. And we want to situate this in such a way where we have the initial starting point. And I think we'll just go ahead and move this down, probably right around here. All right, and then maybe we're going to make this one larger. So what we could do is scale this out. Maybe right around there. Okay, so then what we can do is duplicate this. And we're going to bring a logo here, maybe a navigation here, and then also some type here, and also adjust these up. So before we get to the actual UI stuff, let's move this up maybe right around here. Let's scale this down just a bit, and then maybe move it right there. And so now we have a difference. It doesn't look like a big difference, but let's switch real quick to the prototype, and let's create the necessary connection. So we're going to just select the frame itself and push it over here, and we're going to do one we haven't used yet, which is after delay. We're going to set the delay to 0, and this will kind of just simulate an effect where maybe once the app loads or the website loads, it's going to instantly start an animation. So for our animation type, we're going to play around with this. For the actual duration, I think we'll do something pretty longer, so like 2,000 milliseconds or 2 seconds. All right, and so we want to make sure as well, when we select this, we're at Smart Animate. All right, so let's go ahead and click play. And we will see what happens here momentarily. It's going to take a little bit of time. These are kind of large images. There we go. All right, so we're already at the other one, so we want to make sure we're back to the first one. There we go. So you just hit your keyboard left arrow key. You can hit R on your keyboard to restart the animation. And that looks okay, but it's not that impressive yet. And so one thing that we can change is the easing type. So we can do ease in and out. And again, remember, if we go to custom, we can see what that looks like. We can adjust this to make it maybe a little bit more dramatic. So now if we go back and we hit R, There we go. I really like that sort of ease in out sort of animation a lot better. All right. So then what we'll do is we're going to apply some type here. So let's switch back to the design tab, and I'm going to use the type tool here. We're going to left click, and we're just going to say mountain terrain. And this is a font called Bebas Kai, K-A-I. We're going to make this roughly around the size of probably, I'm thinking about 100. Let's try that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Also 91 around there for the line height. And we'll go ahead and center that up. And we'll probably leave it right around here. Maybe make it a little bit larger, maybe 130. And center that up. Okay, so now let's see what happens by default. So if we hit R, notice how it just kind of fades in. Well, what we can do if we want it to come up is we can copy it. So Control C, come over here, Control V, and we can also put it underneath this area and then put it to 0% opacity. So now if we hit R, I don't like that. Why is it on top? Well, that's because we also didn't move this underneath right there. So now if we hit R, look at that. I really like that effect. So now it's starting to really come together essentially. I might even move this up just a little bit further and maybe scale it back to 110, reduce this a little bit. Now again, since we made a change here, it may look a little strange when we do this. Let's hit R because it might look like it's kind of, no, it still looks pretty good. It starts out a little bit larger from 130 and then goes down to 110, but that's okay. All right, so I also want to have like a little black icon here. So we're going to go and use our Iconify plugin. So for this one, we're going to type in play. We'll just drag that one on there, pretty large, of course. So maybe there's a call to action here with a play button. All right, and so again, we can copy this, paste that, put it down here, except underneath, and put it at 0% opacity. Make sure we put this one underneath rectangle 2 as well. And now let's try R. There we go, great. So now let's have a logo come in at the top and a little hamburger menu. So T for our type tool. We're just going to call this Mount Com for like Mountain Company or something like that. Maybe we'll do like around 30 here. Again, good idea to get your layout grid up here for this sort of thing. So we're going to choose columns. We'll do 8. And then maybe around 40. Yeah, maybe we'll do 50. All right, and then we're going to move this over. Get out Iconify one more time, and we'll do menu. We'll go ahead and let's use this one. And we do want that to be larger. And just get this in line. Hit Control R if you want. Sorry about that. Shift R rather. I'm getting my keyboard keys messed up. There we go. Our shortcuts. All right, Shift R again. And then we could take both of these. Let's go ahead and just group them. Normally you make components out of all this. Let's take this, copy that, we'll paste that, and then just kind of move it up slightly and change the opacity to 0. There we go. All right, so let's hide the grid here. And let's hit R to restart it. And there we go. All right, so let's also say we want something like a little video player to pop up when you click this button. So let's do that real quickly just to get more experience with prototyping. So we're going to replicate that, Shift Alt left click and drag out. This right here, I suppose we can, let's take both of these, move them down, and take it to 0% opacity. Maybe we'll move this up, and we'll move this, maybe we'll leave it right there for now, and then we will, in order to fade this out to white, we're going to create a rectangular container with a gradient fill. So linear. Let's turn these around and then change this one to white, and then this one can be white as well. So now we create a nice fade. All right, we want to make sure this is underneath rectangle 2, however. And then what we can do is create a rectangle for our video player. Of course, we want to make sure we're out here to the very left, and we'll get a guide right there at the front of the logo, and then right there as well. Almost black. And let's make this underneath rectangle 2, which is our grass area, just for an interesting effect. Very subtle. And you know what? Let's get out our Lottie files and have some sort of animated loading icon. So search, we'll do loading, and let's see if we can use this one. So we're going to change the background color to this element. So we're going to grab that, paste that in, and then convert it to a GIF file. So this one is pretty short, so it shouldn't take much more time. And then what we'll do is don't click anything, so deselect everything and then hit add to Figma. Now it does look, it's like there's a slight difference in color here. Let me see if we just select the background here and hit I. Looks like it might be slightly off. I can see it on my end, but you might not be able to see it on yours. Nonetheless, let's see what this ends up looking like if we transition over here to prototype. This will be a simple on click. Change it to smart animate. 300 milliseconds should be fine. And let's also take both of these. We'll group them up, copy them. We'll paste them over here. Again, we want it to be underneath rectangle 2. This will come up. Change the opacity to 0. Go back to prototype. And perhaps when somebody clicks on this element, we need to get our connection. Oh, it's not a part of an actual frame yet, so this needs to be brought back in here. Group 2, underneath rectangle 2. This one is in there as well. Okay, there we go. So now we can, if they click it, maybe it'll just go back to this area. All right, so let's see if we created everything properly. We'll click this. Now, that seems like it's way too fast. So what I'll do is adjust that. And this is part of the process of designing. You may have to end up changing things around. So 1000 milliseconds, maybe we'll do ease in and out with the custom easing options to kind of keep it consistent with the other one. All right, so now we're gonna hit R to restart. Click on this, there we go. And maybe a video would end up loading up there in the real situation. Now I don't like that immediate, the way it reverts back. So again, 1000 milliseconds, we'll just do the custom ease in and out and then just adjust it like we did before. Now this should be pretty solid. We're gonna hit R, click it, click that, and there we go. Also, just for another thing to show you in terms of a way to trigger this type of animation, we could come back here, we're on prototype mode. If we take our actual frame and we create a connection going back here, for instance, to the original, we can do an on drag. All right, smart animate, 1000 milliseconds, that looks pretty good. So now if we restart with R and we drag this, we can make it go back. And we could even make it the same thing with the first frame if we didn't want it to start automatically, instead rely on some sort of scroll or drag. Click this. And there we go.